The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network. And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Friday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you by our good friends. Going to put them in the top right-hand corner of the screen so you know where to go. If you are in the market for a new or used vehicle, you can check out our good friends and our sponsors of Running Point, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown, right there. They'll go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day, and we try to do the same here on YSN as well every day. We have a big day for you on the network. It is the first round of football playoffs. We have been posting all the games that we will have and have been cleared to broadcast, all over our social media pages. Just so everyone knows, in case they missed it on social media, tonight is pay-per-view. All the playoffs will be pay-per-view. One payment of $9.99 gets you access to every game that we have, so it'll get you access to the whole playlist. So if you're being asked by anyone to pay anything other than one payment of $9.99, it's not us. You click on the wrong thing, you hit a pop-up, and do not fall for any of that. We do not ask for subscriptions. We do not ask for more than that. We do not ask for, service, nothing like that. Anything more than $9.99, one payment. That's all you have to do. You can find your games the same way you do on a normal night, ysnlive.com/live. When you click on a game that you want to watch, it'll take you to the pay-per-view link. So you'll just click, there's a little green box. It says purchase your virtual ticket. You click that, you follow the directions, and that's how you'll be able to get access to our pay-per-view tonight. I would definitely suggest that you do all that early. That way, if you run into any problems, you can reach out to us. We can try to get them fixed before kickoff. If you run into any problems and you're doing it at 6:50, you might not get them fixed before kickoff. So make sure to get all that taken care of early so you know that you're ready to go. When you hit play, the games will go live. Our announcers have been instructed to go live at 6:45, so you should be able to see if it's working about 15 minutes before kickoff. That's when most of our announcers will be going live at that time, with an exception to anything that goes on, any problems they're having before game. But everyone should be live at about 6:45. We're going to have a fun night. We want to thank everyone that is already purchased, people that will purchase to watch our games. We appreciate your your support. We know that pay-per-view is not exactly the best thing in the world. We don't like asking for the money, but we appreciate your patience in letting us do it, because we have to pay a lot of money to the state to stream these games, and we want to make sure that we are able to do that. But we also want to make sure that we're able to maintain a business line and keep the lights on up here in the house, right? We have to keep our bills. So we thank you always for the patience and the understanding and the support when we have to put up the pay-per-view wall during postseason time. So we want to do that. We're going to head over to the scoreboard on ysnlive.com and talk about what went down last night. We had 9 volleyball teams fighting for a spot in the regional finals. and it went kind of hit and miss for YSN teams. The Ysn scoreboard is brought to you and presented by Burnett Pool, Spas, and Hot Tubs. It is a great tool for the YSN fans, whether you're at one of our games or watching one of our broadcasts. Either way, you don't want to look away from the action for too long. And the YSN scoreboard is a great way to get live updated scores of your favorite teams across the YSN family. Whether they be your friends or your heated rivals, if you want to know what's going on, there's no better way to find out than the YSN scoreboard. It can be found at ysnlive.com/scores, and it is once again proudly presented by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. Let's get into it. Volleyball last night. We will start with Girard against Elyria Catholic, regional semifinals in Berkshire. Girard competitive in the first two sets, just could not find that last gear to get past Elyria Catholic, and the Panthers get the win to advance to the regional finals, 3-0. I was there for this game. We were broadcasting the Crestview game, but I knew Girard was playing early, so I went there and took out my camera and took pictures for this one. So I was able to see kind of what happened and how this game went. And I think it was just one of those times where Girard was right there. I think they had the pieces to win this game. I think they definitely were capable of winning it. I think they just had a few more errors in a couple of bad spots too. Untimely errors, service errors, attack errors, net violations, all that stuff. When it happened was just as crucial as the fact that it did. Right when you're trying to run, when you're trying to make a rally, Elyria Catholic calls a timeout, service error. Those kind of things really hurt. And those were the differences in the first two sets. 25-21, 25-21 were the first two scores, right? So you were right there, and those errors were the difference, unfortunately for Girard. And then in the third set, Girard just kind of ran out of fire because they were down 2-0, and I think some of their younger players kind of wilted a little bit in the pressure of being down 2-0, and that third set was definitely one that Girard wants to erase from the memory bank. But the first two sets, they were right there. They were making plays. They were putting balls away. They were just making a few more errors than Elyria Catholic. And in this round of playoffs, whether you're talking about volleyball, football, I don't care what round you're talking, what sport you're talking about, soccer, everyone's good. And a lot of times it comes down to what team this plays a little bit cleaner, right? What team is able to make the fewest mistakes, especially in big situations. And in this game, especially the first two sets, that was definitely Elyria Catholic. They weren't necessarily overwhelmingly better than Girard, but they were just a little bit cleaner than Girard. They were making less errors. They were making less mistakes. They were just forcing Girard to keep the pressure on, And then there were some times where Elyria Catholic just did put the ball away. They have good hitters. But I didn't feel like they were overpowering Girard in the sense where they were putting every ball down, on the first touch. That wasn't happening. So I think a lot of things went into it, but I think Girard and the just a little bit of errors were the difference maker. Not a lot because they were right there. Like I said, 25-21 in both the first two sets. It had to clean up a little bit to beat Elyria Catholic. I think if they take one of those two sets, that third is definitely a lot different. And maybe they can pull off a victory, but unfortunately for Girard, they bow out, and that is the end of the seniors' career. Bailey Walters, Nico Cochran, and Alexis Peaton. We have to say goodbye to them. But a good program with a lot of youth and a lot of talent will be returning next year, but Coach Walters, remember, will not. He has already announced that he is going to be retiring after this season. So we congratulate Phil Walters on an amazing volleyball career coaching at Girard, 2 stints at Girard, a lot of success. He was last year's Coach of the Year at YSN. He coached in our All-Star game as well. So we congratulate him on a fantastic career, and we hope that he enjoys taking a rest a little bit. And we know that we'll see him in the crowd because he can't stay away from volleyball, whether it be supporting his daughters in college or catching a good high school match. We know that we'll see him in the stands, but his coaching career has come to an end. He has retired. So we congratulate him on a great career. Ashtabula St. John fell to Norwalk St. Paul in straight sets in Division 7. And then we got one half of the all Ysn matchup in that regional because Wellsville was able to win over Middlefield Cardinal in 3 sets. So Wellsville versus St. Paul on Saturday. That is the first team that we see get into the regional finals. They will play for a spot in state. Hoban, they had no problems with Highland. They get the win 3-0 over the Hornets. They are advancing into the regional finals. This is going to be, when I say a very good volleyball match, this might be the best volleyball match in the state of Ohio this year. It might be better than any of the state championships. When you talk about level of volleyball that will be on the floor at the same time. Gilmore Academy, Hoban. Both these teams are lights out good. And it's going to be a real fun one in Minter. If you are a volleyball fan, dislike high-level volleyball, and maybe your team's out of it, maybe you're looking for a good volleyball match to go to Saturday. I know Minter is not the closest one you can go to, but I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed if you make the drive to Minter and you watch Hoban versus Gilmore Academy. It will be electric. I promise you that. Marlington flex their muscles on Edgewood as they sweep the Warriors and go to the regional finals. Marlington trying to go back to state. They were in there last year. The Dukes trying to make a repeat trip to the Final Four. Crestview keeps running into Minter Lake Catholic, and they ran into them again this year as they fall to them in the regional semifinals 3-0. And I was broadcasting this game, of course. It was presented by Judge Carol Robb, that we want to give another shout out to for letting us have that broadcast in Berkshire. What a one. I want to say, before I talk about the volleyball, what a great gym. I loved being in Berkshire. That was one of the coolest venues that I've ever seen so far to watch a high school volleyball or basketball game. They have the balcony up there. They have a team shop. They have a beautiful cafe. It was just a really fun place to sit and watch volleyball. And then for us, they had the press box, the closed-in glass aquarium, the broadcaster's aquarium for us, for the press. And that was real fun to be in and broadcast the game in there. Don't tap on the glass. That scares the media people. Don't do that, okay? So that was real fun, and they were just very hospitable and great people down there at Berkshire. No one said anything about anything. They were more than happy to move a table up so we could put the camera at the window instead of having to film back through the window. They were just really, really accommodable. So want to give a shout out to Burton Berkshire for just being a great host of these regionals. And then we talk about the volleyball, and I'll tell you what, man, Minter Lake Catholic, I was looking at their record and their stats, and I'm thinking, okay, they're really good, but maybe they're not as robotic as they were last year when they were just. I mean, Coach Howard said in her coach's corner this week. Last year they were untouchable, pretty much. Like if you were gonna beat them, you were gonna just out volleyball them. They weren't gonna make any errors. They were putting every ball down. It was ridiculous how good they were last year. And Crestview still took a set out of that. They swept their way through the rest of the tournament, won a state championship. This year, they're the same old, just like extremely high level volleyball. I'm wondering, like, how did this team lose 4 times? Like, how good are these teams that they lost to? And then I see they lost to Gilmore Academy twice, and I'm like, oh, well, that's how good they are. And they lost to NDCL in 5, who's also in the regional finals. Oh, okay, that's how good they are. But Minter Lake Catholic is, I'm not going to say just as good as they were last year, because I don't think they are. I think there's a little bit of when I say little bit, I mean a little bit of a downturn, and I could go through all the things that I think they don't do quite as well as they did last year, but they're still just ridiculously good volleyball players down there in Minter Lake Catholic, and they've really had the run of the roost since 2016. You look at their program, Final Four appearances in 16, 17, 18, 21, and then state championship wins in 22 and 23. So they got to the Final Four 1, 2, 3, 4 times in 6 years before winning a state championship 2 years ago, and now they've won back to back in 2022 and 2023. So they've been to, what is that, 6 of the last 8 Final Fours, and they've won 2 straight state championships. So they've had a really good run right now in a program. And I've been telling a couple of people that have been asking about, like, high school always comes in cycles. You're going to have cycles of really good programs. They're going to be good for a while because the younger kids see it and they want to be a part of it. It happened when I was in high school and South Range was going to regionals in volleyball. At that point, it was Orville. They had a big program. They were making their runs. The Gilmore Academy had their run in Division 3. They're still having it up in now the new Division 3, right? So they're still doing it. I know Independence had their run for a while. They went to 3 straight state championship matches, lost all 3 of them in 5 sets. And now it's Mineral Lake Catholic having their run and their cycle. But it all kind of comes in a cycle for high school sports. You don't see a lot of high schools that are good at that level for 10, 11, 12, 13 years straight. Maybe good in the sense that they're getting to regionals. Maybe good in the sense that they're winning districts, they're winning conference championships. But getting to state that many times in that many years, it eventually catches up to you, right? So right now, Mineral Lake Catholic is just one of those teams that's on a dominant part of their cycle. They're on the downturn though, because they just graduated really good class last year, but they still have really good volleyball players. And maybe that'll continue for a while, maybe it won't. But unfortunately for Crestview, they ran into a buzzsaw. And a lot of people are saying that about having to play Crestview, right? South Range is sitting at home saying, well, we ran into the buzzsaw that's Crestview in the district championship. And a lot of teams in the MVAC, your Below Parades, your Garfields, your Champions, good teams that had good seasons, well, we just couldn't get past Crestview. So now Crestview has to flip it the other way and see the other side of it, where they run into a brick wall, a chainsaw, a juggernaut, whatever you want to say. Mineral Lake Catholic made Crestview look like what Crestview makes a lot of teams look like. They couldn't run an offense that consistently. They had to make ultra-aggressive swings that led to a few more attack errors. They couldn't pass that well because of the power and the ability of precision from these hitters from Mineral Lake Catholic. They had 4 hitters that had above 150 kills on the year. They went to all 4 of them pretty consistently. Their setter was ridiculously good. I'm telling you, when the pass was off target, it wasn't off target. Like, that's one of the things that I think Mineral Lake Catholic did a little bit worse this year than when I've seen them than they did last year, is passing on target every time. Like last year, their setter barely had to move, right? Every pass seemed to be crisp, right where you want it to go, perfect offense. Now they're a little out of system, but this setter they have, I'm telling you, out of system doesn't exist, because she'll run around, she'll get a perfect bump set right to where you want it to go, and then the hitter will just put it away anyway. They might have given Crestview 2 or 3 free balls all night, and Crestview was getting good serves. They were getting good swings. There were times when a lot of teams that would be a free ball, but Mineral Lake Catholic found a way to get a swing out of it, because they're just they're that good out of system. And that's the difference. Those are the little differences that you have when you're talking elite volleyball, right? A lot of good teams can be in system a lot and put balls away. A lot of great teams can. But then when you say elite, what can you do when you don't have great passes, when you're going up against teams that make it really hard to put really crisp passes on every ball? What can you do a little bit out of system? Can you still get a good set off to your hitters? Can you still have hitters to put the ball away? And that's what Mineral Lake Catholic does really well. They're out of system, but it doesn't matter, because they have hitters that don't need a perfect set one, and they have a setter that can get a really good set off a off-target ball. They can really make a lot of things happen when they're not in system, which is just, that's elite. That's what you see on the college level. I told a lot of people last night, Mineral Lake Catholic was as close to a college level volleyball team as you're going to get in high school, because they do a lot of the things that you see a lot of college level volleyball teams do. And they have players that are going to be going on to play college volleyball at the high level. What can you do, right? And you're always going to have the conversation when this kind of game happens of private versus public. When a really good private school beats a really good public school, that conversation is always going to pop up. People want to see the private schools have their own division, own bracket, own championship. I think it's a dream world. I don't think it's ever going to happen as much as some people want it to. Um, One, I don't think there's enough good competition in private schools, to be honest. Like, Mineral Lake Catholic is a really good private school of volleyball, but when you look at volleyball as a whole, like, how many really, 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 really good private schools are there in the state of Ohio? Not a ton. Not enough to have a 31 district bracket and say it's going to be competitive. And, and I'm saying that now when we're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 4 of these teams that we see on our scoreboard are advancing that are private schools. I do think open enrollment has narrowed that conversation a little bit because you have the ability to get teams that are out of your district now, just like the private schools do. But I do think there's still a little bit of, if you think that's completely leveled the playing field on talent you can get, you're wrong. I do think that there's a little bit of an advantage that the private schools have in that sense. One, they have the facilities. Two, they have the money to get really good coaches in there. And they also have a bigger pool to pull from, right? And Minner has a big pool, right? There's a lot of different schools in Minner that can have their kids go to Minner Lake Catholic. It's just a big pool, which brings me to my next point, which about this whole conversation. I do think that Minner Lake Catholic being a private school is a factor, but I think another factor is just the fact that they have a really, really good schedule. They play a lot of high-level volleyball that sets them up for being able to play really good teams in tournament time, right? They played NDCL twice. They played Gilmore Academy twice. They're both in their conference. Those are both teams that are in the regional finals. That has a factor. When you're able to play that caliber of volleyball throughout the season, that will get you ready, right? And the volleyball up in the Cleveland, Canton, Akron area is just ahead of volleyball here. We are making strides in the Tri-County area in volleyball. We are. We have more talent and more good teams than we've ever had in a long time. But at the same time, we're still behind the teams up there in Canton, in Akron, in Cleveland. Because one, they're bigger cities. Two, they have more club teams. They have more high-level club coaches that are coaching high school. It's just reality. There's better volleyball in Canton, Akron, Cleveland than there is right here. So our schools that want to get past them in regionals, you got to take your chances in the regular season. I really want to see some of these schools try to get some of those schools on the schedule in the regular season. I would love to see, Independence come play some of our schools. I would love to see Hoban come down, play more of our local schools. You can go and get Dalton, who's playing in the regional final. I mean, all these teams that are really, really good, that are just a little bit out of our district, quote unquote, to get them out of the non-conference schedule to play high-level volleyball and maybe supplement some of these teams are playing that this aren't showing them enough to get ready for the tournament in non-conference. You got to be able to maybe sacrifice a couple of losses in the regular season to show your players, like, hey, this is what it's going to take. This is the volleyball we're going to see. Mineral Lake Catholic did that. They got embarrassed twice by Gilmore Academy. Swept 2 times. Right? But I'm sure if you ask that coaching staff how much that opened the players' eyes, especially the players that are in much bigger roles that are replacing some of the seniors from last year on this program, like, hey, this is what the standard is in our volleyball program. This is what we have to do. This is what we didn't do when we played Gilmore Academy. This is the type of thing that high-level volleyball teams will do to us. You got to be able to do that. You look at Crestview, I know you can't control the league you're in, But at the same time, you lost one set all year. You really weren't pushed that much at all. You played a couple of good teams that I'll give you credit for. But at the same time, like that schedule, I really think it needs to get better. I think it needs to get more teams on it, more high-level volleyball. And that's obviously a lot of logistics to go into that. It's not as easy as waving your finger and saying, hey, we're going to go play all these Canton teams. We're going to go play, in Central Ohio and all that fun stuff. But it's something to talk about. It's something that the strength of schedule needs to get a little bit higher for the Gerards of the world, for the Cresties of the world, even for like the McDonald's of the world that lost in the regional semifinals against Dalton. I think some of these teams need to test themselves a little bit more during the season, sacrifice maybe a few losses or a few times when they get really pushed and their team has to have a little bit of adversity. Because if you don't, then what's going to happen when you run into the really high-level volleyball teams? We'll continue the scoreboard. Wellsville gets the sweep over Middlefield Cardinal. Austintown Fitch, back-to-back 5-set victories in the district championship and regional semifinals. They beat Worcester in 5. They are going on to the regional finals at Streetsboro on Saturday against Avon. And then Lakeview also getting a ticket into the regional finals. Down in Lexington, a long way away from Cortland, they get the win over Millbury Lake as they win in 4 sets. You watch this game, Lakeview won the first, they dropped the second, and then won the next 2 pretty decisively. 25-19 was the first score. They lost 17-25. They won 25-19, and then 25-10 was the score of that final set. So Lakeview really flexed their muscles a little bit and dominated their way to a regional final. They will play Shelby, who reverse sweep their way into the regional finals. They had a comeback from being down 2-0 in their regional semifinal to get to the regional finals. That'll be at Lexington High School on Saturday as well, as Lakeview will hit the road to play Shelby. Then McDonald falls to Dalton in the last volleyball game on the scoreboard. The final score there was 3-1, and the last set that McDonald lost was a heartbreaker, 26-24. So they were actually right there. They were playing really good volleyball. It was very competitive. They win that 4th set. You don't know. 5th set's always a wild card. You never know what's going to happen. But unfortunately for McDonald, they fall a little bit short of Dalton, and they will end their season in the regional semifinals. So out of that, we had 9 teams playing, 4 teams advance. Not terrible. And we'll have 4 teams that played last night, 5 teams total, alive playing in volleyball action on Saturday. We don't want to forget about Beaver, who won on Wednesday to punch their ticket to the WPIL championship on Saturday as well. So Beaver still playing over in PA, and we have 4 teams playing on our side of the border in regional finals on Saturday. So 5 total volleyball games on Saturday for you. If you're a volleyball fan, get out there and check them out. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about playoff football, what's in store for you guys tonight, all the matchups. We'll go over them on the scoreboard. We'll also tell you what games are being covered as a part of our pay-per-view package. That's coming up next on Running Point, brought to you as always by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come. Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun, it all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. You just heard from them in that commercial break. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here, not just on this show, but also on this network as a whole. We try to follow their lead. They're one of the great sponsors that we have on YSN, and they are the lead sponsor of Running Point. So we thank them every day for believing in this show and what it can do. We're going to go back into the scoreboard. We talked about last night's volleyball. Now we're going to talk about tonight's football action and go over the playoff matchups and what games you can find on our pay-per-view package tonight. So bring it back up on the screen. And if you're new to our scoreboard, you switch days on the bottom here. You'll see the links for the different dates. We are on November 1st, the first day of November, and the first day of playoffs for football. And it looks like this. Boardman will be hosting Hudson tonight. Austintown Fitch at home against Mayfield. Hoban will be hosting Akron Firestone. Cheney goes to Ursuline. That's a rematch of a battle that happened in the regular season. West Branch and Hubbard will be battling. Perry gets their chances of a repeat state championship going tonight as they host Bucknell. Struthers will host Norton. We have Mooney going to Streetsboro. Orange going to Northwest. East Liverpool will be on the road against Columbus East. South Range hosting Fairless. Edison comes into town into Arrowhead Stadium, and they'll play Girard. In round one of the playoffs, Garfield has Trinity. Lakeview on the road against Garraway. Against Garraway. We have Liberty going to Manchester tonight. Canton Central Catholic will be at Poland. And Crestview hosting Martins Ferry. LeBray will be hosting Smithville. United also has a home game. They'll be hosting Mogador. That's a sneaky game that we'll talk about after the scoreboard. But Mogador is a playoff powerhouse that is always good in playoff time. So United got to watch out, even though they're the host team tonight. Springfield, they have Black River tonight. You have Middle Ridge traveling to Pymatuning Valley. Valley Christian goes to Dalton. You have Crestline coming to Western Reserve. Rowan JFK hosting East Palestine. Southern goes to Wyndham. McDonald will be hosting Lowville. That's a rematch in the MVAC matchup. That's the only all-conference. Well, no, I shouldn't say that because Cheney and Ursuline play in the Steel Valley, but just the second conference matchup in round one of the playoffs. And then over in PA, Mohawk will be playing Keystone Oaks tonight as well. So that's just a rundown of the games. Here are the games that will be able to be found on our pay-per-view package. If you pay one payment of $9.99, these are the games that you will get on the playlist. Mayfield at Austintown Fitch will be on there. Ty Bartell and Mike Ackelson will both be on the call together. That's going to be an insanely talented booth, I'll tell you that much. Tim Corso will be there at Ursuline. Perry will be covered by the school crew that has been covering them all year. Same thing with West Branch. Those will both be covered by the school's crew. You have Anthony Malone and Tom Otto. They have you covered at Struthers and Norton. DJ Yoakley, Sam Bellino have you there for South Range and Fairless. School crew has you covered for Garrettsville, Garfield, and Trinity. And Noah Doty and CJ Schroeds, they'll have you on the hook for Girard and Edison. Chad Paul, he'll be covering Pymatuning Valley and Mineral Ridge. Chris Sigler and Gary Altize are getting together for Springfield and Black River. You have Chris Colucci, Billy Capabianca. They have you covered for Wellsville and Crestline. Matt Romeo is going to be in Poland for their matchup with Canton Central Catholic. We have Gary Burton. He'll have you covered for Martins Ferry and Crestview. The same crew that has been covering Boardman all year, Donnie Riccatelli and Don Mashula, will have you covered again as Boardman host Hudson. Derek Rhodes and Larry Scragg are on the call for United and Mogador. Dakota Kotzel will be in LeBray for their matchup with Smithville. Eric Hughes got you at McDonald for their matchup with Lowville. We have a matchup with Wyndham and Southern. The school crew has you covered at Wyndham, so they'll be there for that. Jordan Barber has you there for the matchup between Liberty and Manchester. And then Sam Torres will be going to Streetsboro with Mooney as they match up tonight as well at 7 o'clock. All those games can be found at ysnlive.com/live. And remember, a one payment of $9.99 will get you access to that. In fact, I can show you how it'll work right now. Hopefully the links are updated by now. Live games. Okay, this page will be updated later today. So when it is, you go to live games like you always do. You click on the game that you want to watch, and it will take you right to the page where you will purchase a pay-per-view ticket. You'll see a green box that says purchase your online ticket now. So make sure to head over there and get your online ticket early, so if you run into any problems, you can get those fixed before kickoff. I do want to go over the Saturday slate before we get out of here, because not only do we have volleyball, but we have a couple of soccer games going on over the weekend as well. So here's what's happening on Saturday. Just the one girls soccer team left. The last team remaining is Poland. They will play Chagrin Falls. That game has been moved. So a reminder, this was originally supposed to be, if you looked at the bracket before the regional semifinals, this game was going to be at Parma. It has been moved to Talmadge. So Poland and Chagrin Falls will be at Talmadge for the regional final tomorrow. Volleyball, we have Beaver playing in the WPIL Championship. That will be at Peters Township High School, which is about an hour and a half away from us. That'll be at 3 o'clock. Got you covered there. Hoban and Gilmore Academy should be a very fun matchup. That one will be at Mentor at noon. Austintown Fitch and Avon, they'll be playing at Streetsboro. That's going to be at 1 o'clock start for the regional finals. Lakeview and Shelby playing at Lexington High School, and this one will start at 2 o'clock for Lakeview and Shelby. And last but not least, you have Wellsville and Norwalk St. Paul. This one going on at Strongsville High School, home of the Mustangs, and that will be at 2 o'clock as well. Winners of these games, these 4 games in our state, are going to be going to the state semifinals. Beaver, no matter what they do, they are going to the Pennsylvania bracket. It'll just be seeding. They've already qualified because they have finished in the top 3 for the WPIL. With all 3 teams will get into the regional, the state bracket for Pennsylvania. But all 4 of those teams that are playing in the Ohio side, they will be playing for a spot in the state semifinals, which looks a little bit different this year. Because the state semifinals will be in all different spots. Some of them will still be in Wright State. Some of them will be in high schools around the area. We will come back on Monday and update you if any of these teams win on where they will be. State championships will be at Wright State University, down close to Dayton. If you're a YSU fan, for every sport other than football, they play Wright State every year, so you would know the Raiders down there where they play. The Nutter Center used to be the home of the state championship in wrestling as well. So a lot of wrestling fans, old school wrestling fans will know the Nutter Center all too well. But the semifinals will be played in a couple of different spots. A couple of them will be played at Wright State. I believe divisions 5 and 7 are at Wright State. And then a couple more of them will be played at different high schools around the state as well. All the championships will be in Wright State University. And for those of you wondering, those games will be on Thursday for the semifinals. The championships will be spread out between Friday and Saturday. So if you win on Saturday, you will be playing on Thursday at a location that is dependent on where you are at. And we will once again update everyone on where they're going to be on Monday when we come back on Running Point, when we're talking about hopefully 4 different teams going to the state semifinals. We're definitely hoping for that. I think a lot of these teams have a really good shot the way they've been playing. I'm especially looking at Lakeview, and I'm thinking like, I've never seen Shelby live. I have no idea what they're about, but they didn't exactly dominate their way to a win. Maybe they were 2 really good teams. I don't know. Everyone's good when they get to regionals. But I'll tell you what, I think Lakeview has a shot. Fitch is going to have a tough mountain because Avon is obviously very good. That Gilmore Academy and Hoban game is going to be an absolute slugfest. Both teams very high level. I don't know much about Norwalk St. Paul either, and I hope in Wellsville can get the win. Both teams dominated their way into the regional semifinals, so these were clearly the best 2 teams in the region when you look at the way those 2 semifinals went. And that's how you want it to go. You want the best 2 teams playing for a chance to go to state. All that's happening on Saturday. We do have one game on Sunday. It is boys soccer, and it will be Poland boys. They are still going to Parma, and they will be playing Beechwood in the regional finals. That game will be at noon on – no, I'm sorry. They're going to Niles. What am I saying? They're going to Niles to play Beechwood on Sunday at noon. Bo Ryan Stadium will be the host of that. Winner goes on to the state semifinals. So there you go. There's a rundown of where we are in the postseason. Playoff football tonight. All the games can get access with one payment. $99. I will stress this again for new viewers that are just hopping on. That's the only way you're going to get it. $9.99. That's all you have to pay. If you're getting asked to pay anything else than one payment of $9.99, you are on the wrong spot. Do not fall for it. Do not pay for it. It is not us. We don't ask for subscriptions. We don't ask for monthly rates. We don't ask for big giant service charges that make you pay $30. It is one payment, $9.99. That gets you access to all the games that we're going to be broadcasting. That's all we ask for you. That's really, we have 21 games, I believe. Let me count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 games. So that's, you're paying $10 for 20 games, right? So there you go. 50 cents a game, right? Yeah. So make sure to go out to ysnlive.com and check them out. If you can't get to the games yourself, it is a great way to watch the games. And we thank you in advance for your purchase and belief and the support of YSN. We know pay-per-view isn't exactly the most ideal situation. We love to bring it to you for free. We would definitely love to do that, but we have to pay the state, so we have to make you guys pay us a little bit so we can make face a little bit for that. So want to thank you so much for tuning in today to Running Point. Want to wish all the football teams playing tonight the best of luck. One safe game, please. Please, please, please. Always pray for that first and foremost. But secondly, great games, and a lot of teams hopefully playing in week 12 next week when we come back for the second round of playoffs. It's exciting. It's postseason time. It's the nitty-gritty. It's when all the stuff really matters that much more. We'll be back on Monday to talk about it all and recap all the action from the weekend, regional finals and soccer and volleyball and round one of playoffs and football. You don't want to miss it. Monday's Running Point coming to you 1 to 2, always brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Have a wonderful night, everybody. We will see you after the weekend.